Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The Nigerian Senate has cleared the air on the controversy surrounding the National Commission for the Prohibition of Hate Speeches Bill 2019. The bill, which has attracted wide reactions from political stakeholders and the Nigerian populace at large, prescribes a death penalty for anyone found guilty of spreading a falsehood that leads to the death of another person. Addressing the controversies surrounding this bill, acting spokesperson of the Senate, Senator Godiya Akwashiki, said the bill was not the idea of the Ninth Senate. Senator Akwashiki further noted that the bill was solely sponsored by the Deputy Chief Whip, Sabi Abdullahi, based on his personal conviction. Yesterday, here on the morning show, we had Senator Sabi Abdullahi, and this is what he had to say.
I have seen over the years, and which is of grave concern to me, is that we've seen so many violence, usually attributable to two issues, ethnicity and religious. And in all of these instances, I have gone through a number of literature, studies done by Nigerians, academics, scholars, where it is established, and even civil society organizations, for example, the Center for Information and Technology and Development, CITAD, where it is established unequivocally that most and almost all of these violences are normally preceded by hate speeches. And if you go through some of these facts, you will see that there are people who are victims as a result of somebody spreading information or misinformation or disinformation that has to do with hatred. And of course, we know hatred.
Well, joining us now to discuss a little bit more on the hate speech bill and also the social media bill before the National Assembly, and perhaps provide a counter-narrative or another view, on the proposed legislation, is Martins Oloja. Martins Oloja is a member of the editorial board of the Guardian newspaper. Martins, good morning. Good to have you on the morning show. Well, two bills before the National Assembly. The National Commission to Prohibit a Speech Bill, proposed by Senator Sabi Abdullahi, whom you just listened to. He was on this program yesterday. And then the Internet Falsehood and Misapplication Bill, proposed by Senator Mohammed Musa. These two bills have been very controversial. The hate speech bill, the social media bill, that's the second one, has gone to a second reading, is now at the committee stage. And journalists are quite concerned that, look, this will be an attempt to stifle the freedom of the press and suppress the freedom of expression. But what do you think?
Well, it is frightening. It should be frightening not only to journalists, but to the citizens, even active citizens, because if you attack free speech in a democracy, you attack democracy, because of all the dividends of democracy that we peddle here. People talk about, we have too many potholes, we don't have good roads, we don't have the most powerful dividend of democracy is freedom, freedom of expression. If you attack the speech of the citizens, and if you attack the press the way they are doing, even despite denial that, it's not from us, it's done by the executive, it's done by the time it becomes law, nobody is going to talk about who sponsored what. We are going to be the victims of that kind of circumstance. And you will see the conspiracy of the elite from the executive and the legislature to attack institutions of democracy. And it should be frightening to all of us that they are coming for free speech at this time. They are coming against citizens' expression of themselves. They are coming against the most powerful instrument that we can use to nurture democracy, because they are coming against even a provision of the Constitution. Section 22 of the Constitution as amended and Section 39 will have actually defined the fourth estate of the realm, that it is our own responsibility in the media to monitor governance.
That's Section 22.
Yes, Section 22, to monitor governance. and to ensure that government is accountable to the people. It is our responsibility. And it is there, but many people do not know that what the press people do is constitutional. It is constitutional to the extent that it's a section of the Constitution, even as amended. And when people will always talk and be teaching journalism all over the place, they do not know that what we do is a constitutional responsibility. And if we shirk this responsibility, the people will blame us. We are not a part of the arm of government that we sit in Abuja. Our own beat is national and international. We do not sit in a chamber to say, oh, we are an arm of government. But the Constitution defines this role. Well, it is curious that people who are elected as Democrats, who are elected as representatives of the people, are sponsoring these kind of bills to stifle democracy. When there are so many weightier matters of governance, so many weightier matters of the law. And I think it is curious. It's curious.
Let's put this current issue in a wider context. Let's talk about the current climate that we have now, where a lot of people believe that press freedom is under attack. And there's also the fact, even beyond the press, there's a student, a second-year student in university remanded by a magistrate in Kano since September till date because he was critical of a lawmaker who he did not even name. All he said, and there was no insult, the lawmaker made a mistake with numbers. He goes, this man meant to say 1,500, he said 1,200 or something. And then he now goes on to say, I hope his election is declared inconclusive, did not name him. Because of that, this youth has been slammed behind bars. Let's talk about that. And then what would the passage of these bills portend?
Well, definitely they want to pass this kind of bill to get more of such critical citizens who know they are right and who know what to say. There is a correlation between an attempt to pass this bill and what they are doing to the board. Because people are wondering, what are you going to do? But they want to pass this bill to say that this boy is involved in hate speech. And they want to do this one simultaneously. Hate speech, social media bill, to ensure that citizens do not speak the truth, to ensure that public officials are not criticized. If public officials are not criticized in a country that has been run down like this, then we will be in trouble. And even most people are saying silently that we are not doing enough. Maybe because of capacity issues here and there. But if we are constrained by the law like this, then there won't be a democracy. There are other issues. This is the most populous black nation on earth. And the people, even Nelson Mandela was saying that there will be no, he said to Dr. Hakim Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed, so to speak, when he visited him, that, look, the black race will not be recognized. The black race will not have any face anywhere in the world. I'm paraphrasing him now. If Nigeria doesn't make it, that the black race will not make it. And if Nigeria doesn't make it, Africa will not make it. He did not talk about South Africa. He was specifically talking about Nigeria. Iconic Mandela, not looking at South Africa as the nation that the world should look up to lead Africa. He was talking specifically about Nigeria. Look at what is happening to the institutions of democracy in Nigeria, where elected people are now the ones trying to stifle institutions that should defend and even nurture democracy. It's curious.
It is a very worrying situation, to say the least. And you mentioned laws that we already have that are being trampled on by even just the suggestion of these bills respectively. But then at the same time, we also need to look into the fact that in some way or another, putting hate speech aside and now focusing more on the social media side of things in terms of the second bill that they've proposed, there also needs to be some sort of regulation to stop things such as fake news. Now, we already have existing laws in place that tackle these issues, which is why it's controversial. But when it comes to the use of social media today, How can we go about regulating social media without trampling on the rights of citizens and trampling on freedom of expression that at the end of the day is constitutionally guaranteed?
Yes. No, definitely there is no way you can regulate. This social media issue is being discussed all over the world. It's a problem, but the most powerful leader on earth,
President Trump?
Yes, President Donald Trump, breaks the news through the social media. He doesn't talk. He doesn't address any press conference. Before you wake up, you have seen what you said.
So he abuses social media.
He abuses social media, but he uses the social media. You cannot ignore. It's a necessary evil to him and to them and to the world. You cannot suppress, well, you can say social media. When they want to talk about the media, they say social media. The media, you can see the convergence all over the place. They want to attack free speech. They come through the social media. You cannot regulate this. The most important thing that we feel that public officers should address is to have engagement with institutions like Newspapers Proprietors Association of Nigeria, this association of social media people, for self-regulation, to talk about the governance system in their own system, so that there will be self-regulation. We do not want to say that we haven't found abuse in the social media. We want to admit that there are some people who use their social media to even disseminate fake news and so many, and this has implications. But that is not enough without consultation with the people. To say that somebody to say that he has studied literature, he has done literature review of so many things, and that religious crises preceded by hate speeches and all those things like that.
Martins, we need to take a short break, but before we do, let me ask you, recently the Minister of Information, Oloja Lai Mohammed, held audience with executives of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. It's not just the Senate that is talking about hate speech or fake news or social media. The executive, through Oloja Lai Mohammed, is also saying that regulating social media is a necessity.
It's a necessity.
But he assured Nigerians, or the journalists who met him, that there will be stakeholder intervention, and it's the stakeholders who, at the end of the day, will determine what will happen at the end of the day. But let's take a short break. When we return, you can then comment on that encounter with the Minister of Information. We'll be right back. You're still watching The Morning Show here on the Arise News channel. And we still have as our guest in our Lagos studio, Oloja, who is a member of the editorial board of the Guardian newspaper. And he has been commenting on the hate speech and the fake news bill before the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Martins, before we went on break, I had asked you about the meeting between the NUJ ESCO and Oloja Lai Mohammed, and the assurance by Oloja Lai Mohammed that stakeholders will be involved in the process of regulating the social media, and that regulating the social media is a necessity if we must protect our democracy and our society.
Yeah, it was a very good meeting with the NUJ. As I said earlier, there is a Nigerian press organization comprising Newspapers Proprietors Association of Nigeria, Nigerian Guild of Editors, and the NUJ. The NUJ members work for members of the MPAN and Proprietors Association of Nigeria.
MPAN.
MPAN, the editor.
And the president, of course,
yes,
is the publisher of This Day and the chairman of this television. And then, most of these members work for this. But it's good. They are MPO, and they jointly own Nigerian Institute of Journalism, the premier journalism training institution in Nigeria. So this is a stakeholder meeting that should have taken place before the appearance of these bills. Because without these stakeholders' input into any bill, it will suffer the fate of Nigerian Press Council, which have been the regulatory body, is still the regulatory body for the print media. It's a toothless
bulldog. But it's a toothless bulldog because of lack of consultation So this is the problem that we have. It was just, I would like to feel that the statement, with due respect, by the information minister was just a political statement. That it's a good suggestion that he said he would continue to have a stakeholder meeting. But before the stakeholder meeting, bills are appearing everywhere. One has even got to second reading.
The bills, they insist the bills are private members'
Yeah,
bills.
they are private member bills. But you can see cooperation between the two arms of government in what is happening, because in our own village, they will say that if a witch cried last night and a child died, you will see that the witch that cried last night will be suspected. You see that there is but one mind, as Shakespeare will have said, in all these men, all bent against the press. These two arms of government, they are cooperating to regulate the press. No one knows their intention. We feel that this stakeholder meeting is capable of revealing their intention. This is democracy. This is the age of the big data. This is the age of digital evidence everywhere. You can't hide. You can't go to bed until you take care of certain things, because by the time you wake up, things have gone viral in this age of digital journalism. So public officers are advised to settle issues, because by the time they wake up, they have gone viral. You cannot wage any war against the social media. You can talk to social media advisors.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
I mean, one of the points made by Senator Sabi Abdullah yesterday is that this is not peculiar. That in other countries, in Tanzania, in Rwanda, in Kenya, that they have social media laws regulating the social media. They have laws against hate speech. And he thinks that, Nigeria cannot be different, considering the damage that people have been trying to do on social media. And, by implication, he's indirectly saying this is not just about journalists. It's about the health of our community.
It's about the health of our community. No, let us not, I do not have any problem with what he is doing. He's protected by law to do what he is doing. What with the people are saying is that there hasn't been consultation. As I was saying the other time, we are not saying that there is no recklessness. We have seen some level of recklessness, but we have enough provisions in our laws. We even have Cyber Act law. We have other laws. We have libel, we have slander. We have so many provisions in the existing laws that can be used to regulate the practice of journalism, or even the way people speak. So we feel that it is not ripe for them to be rushing a law through the media. They are denying, they are going about it to say that they want to do it, that it is suspicious. We know it's not only their responsibility to regulate the society, but I want to underline one fact. What is making people to be angry? If I wake up and I discover that 13 Assistant Inspector General of Police have been appointed, and only one of them from a section of the country. If I get angry as a citizen, is that hate speech? We should look at our governance system and the structure of government before looking at some of these things, because there are certain issues. There are certain issues from the governance process that will make citizens to be angry at this time. We can say, there is a sense in which we can say that there is so much corruption. We can't deny that. And then if we can put some data together that there is so much corruption and so officials in government are corrupt, is that hate speech? If I wake up to say that the appointments from even the office of the president are skewed in favor of certain sections of the country and religion, is that hate speech? Am I not entitled to do that? If the Constitution allows me to monitor governance and to hold government officials, public officers to account, and because of the way they do it and I am angry and I say it, is that hate speech? So we should also look at the structure of the society, the structure of governance. If I say that we need to restructure this federation that has held everybody down, if I say angrily that we need to restructure the way education is going on in this country, that we used to have a university college hospital in Ibadan that ranked fourth in the entire Commonwealth. Now that university college hospital is gone. It's not good. And that if I look at data of national budget and I say, why are you allocating something for water resources, equivalent of so amount of money to water resources, education and health? Why are you doing this? If I do that as a reporter, as a resourceful reporter, I put data together and I even report it like that, is that hate speech?
No, as long as you don't call for revolution. If you call for revolution, that would be hate speech.
But the boy in Kano didn't call for anything.
If I call for revolution, ordinarily, if I call for revolution, it shouldn't be hate speech. I have the right as a citizen. That is why we need to educate people, that we need to have active citizenry for democracy to thrive. If people do not know their rights, if they do not know that we have a responsibility to hold government people to account, if people do not know that we have a responsibility to monitor governance, we have a responsibility to monitor how our money is spent at the center, then we are in trouble. I think that we need to tell sponsors of this bill that it is not that we are criticizing the bills, we are criticizing the atmospherics around the bill.
So can I ask you now, you have really given quite an ominous warning, and you're reminding me, many of us, if we did not experience directly, we certainly witnessed suppression under the military regime. Yeah. You're reminding me of a quite recent history and what could really happen if this is allowed to go on. It was met with dismay that the Senate allowed this Internet Falsehoods and Manipulation Bill to pass second reading. Yeah. But all is not lost, we hope. It's going to the committee, public hearing, and what have you. What are you, as stakeholders, planning to do to stop this bill? Because we're hoping it's not a fait accompli at this point.
It is not. You know, that is why we would like to talk to the Nigerian Press Organization, our own body, to ensure that they also make their input. They do whatever it is possible. Then the civil society. It is curious that civil society organizations, I think they worked very hard to ensure that we had this democracy 21 years ago. But many of them have gone to sleep, believing that it is well with democracy. It is still not well with democracy. And we need to appeal to the media, the civil society, generally, then civil society organizations, because the civil society includes the media. Civil society organizations mobilize against passage of this bill in its organic form.
On that note, we'll have to thank you very much for honoring our invitation. Thank you very much indeed.